In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. If you have a great content to give out on a webinar and you want to get people to show up, but what happens after they show up? Should you just abandon the marketing? Is that the end of it? Should you just focus only on new leads coming to the webinar? Or should you make sure to pay attention to the ones that are already coming into your webinar? Stick around and I'll show you. People change with time as time goes on in regards to their bodies and their health. So I would say that repetition of the message, Daniel, the one thing that I would like you to guys, like you guys to look at, make sure that you are continuing the conversation with people way beyond that lead. Do not just rely on people that are coming in every single week. I would actually say it has to be 50-50, man. In some cases, like you have to be like 70 nurture, 30% new leads. And Natural Slim is a perfect example of that. In Natural Slim, we're really focused on taking care of our existing customers, our existing prospects, nurturing them. And then we put a lot of energy, 30-40% of it, into acquiring new prospects, top of the funnel, etc. So do we have a plan in place to continue the conversation with these people? Because at this stage of the game, has been with us for many years. How big is his email list? How big is his ManyChat list? How big is his text messaging list? I know that I get, over the years, I've gotten some messages from talking about different things that they have going on. We gotta have a marketing plan that has a lot of automations in place. And I know that there's this concept about, you mentioned at the beginning, like too much communication could be a problem. If it really is valuable, Daniel, if we're really not just like spamming and selling to people stuff, and we're just saying like, hey, look at this client testimonial, how they did this and they did that. Look at this patient, what they went through right now. Look at this person over here. Or let me give you 5 new tips about this and about that. If we provide value, if somebody opts out of that, that's okay, that's part of it, but we want to continue communicating with people along the way. So I would say, make sure that you have, we've been building a marketing strategy recently. Make sure that inside the marketing strategy, we are doing that, or we're scheduling a meeting with and be like, look, we got to get this done. It's going to cost you extra. We're going to have to create this automation. It has to be continuity. You can't just keep on living off of new leads. We got to really take responsibility for the ones that have come in. Somebody came in with some slight problems 2 years ago. Those problems could have scaled aggressively. And maybe right now they're really in serious need of help. So that's where we step in, because if you continue conversation with these people, they're going to trust you a lot more now than they trust you 2 years ago. We have people here. AGM is a perfect example of that. Lorraine closest people that have been on our lines for years, and they haven't given us a single penny. Ernesto the other day has, there's a prospect that he closed on a marketing retainer. We hadn't gotten a penny from him in 3.5 years. But because we have kept on communicating with them, they kept on believing in us, and they kept on trusting us more every step of the way. So my one thing that I would tell you is, make sure that you have this marketing plan in place. And when we have a meeting again, Daniel, we should just go over the strategy and just, do you already have that written up? The strategy for?
Yeah, we can walk through it if you want.
Okay, go ahead and put it on the board. Share it. Let's go for it. Deliverables, creatives, email follow-up using ManyChat to keep communication, SMS. Okay, so they're not using another ESP, right? They're not using another email service provider. It's all ManyChat right now?
No, they're using Keep. So.
Okay, I thought so. Okay, so are these two platforms connected, coordinated? Is one knowledgeable on what the other one is doing? Or are they all running their own show?
ManyChat doesn't have automation, only Keep. ManyChat we're using only for broadcasting.
Okay, all right. Okay, only for broadcasting. Okay, so that's not really being used up to its standard. As long as Daniel, you can actually use ManyChat to bring people into ManyChat, but make sure that ManyChat is communicating that email lead to Keep right away, and they are in constant coordination. If you set it up like that, you should be able to get the system going that you can use the ManyChat broadcast. But definitely you can, the ManyChat, Daniel, is still the simplest, most user-friendly to get people to opt in. But for nurturing, it's not necessarily going to be ManyChat. But for bringing them in, use ManyChat and use strategies to come in, extract phone numbers and emails, get people registered to the webinar, whatever, but get that communication into Keep. So I would increase the email, the email acquisition and the phone number acquisition with ManyChat, but make sure that we have a really solid nurture plan with Keep. Can you make sure that that's being actually kept in place? A nurture plan, and then emailing these people to invite them to the next webinar, or even, Daniel, I would invite them into the next, if there's do we have a link to have people book a $39 consultation with you right away, or do they have to go to the webinar?
They have to go to the webinar.
Here's the thing, and you can tell him that I said so. This is a very important point. How many emails does he have? Do you know?
Last time I checked, I think it was 37,000.
Wow. Okay, 37,000 emails. And subscribers on Messenger, on ManyChat?
18,000.
18,000. Okay, we got a lot of people, Daniel. So you can tell him, look, I had a meeting with Manuel, and he wants me to create an offer page for the $39 consult. Why? Here's a logical reason for that. Because we actually have a lot of people that have already gone to the webinar, but maybe they didn't trust you enough to take you up on the $40 offer. But now they do, and they need help. They have been seeing your content throughout all this time. Why are you going to force people to go to the same exact content on a webinar that they already got to schedule their next level of engagement? Man, this is a missed out opportunity. This is the foot in the door offer. You're not going to close that offer for people unless they actually go to the webinar again. It doesn't make any sense. So I will send an email right now. I will copy and say, Manuel had a big epiphany on this. It doesn't make any sense. We have 37,000 people on email, 18,000 people on ManyChat. I want to be able to promote your consultations. We want to put together some testimonial videos of people that have attended these consultations, and we want to sell this Talk to a Doctor for $49 and get your problems headed in the right direction to getting resolved. It doesn't make any sense. So I think that would be a big strategy, because then what you do, on this case, what we do, Daniel, is that we flood the webinar. We keep on doing that. We don't change that. But then we nurture people, and we always invite them to schedule their consultation once they came in. And that is always thrown in there. We don't waste that traffic. Just because they didn't sign up on the webinar doesn't mean they're garbage. Absolutely not. They just didn't trust enough. They have been scammed out of their money too much. They don't believe in people. They don't believe in brands. You got to make sure that you build that trust with people along the way. So if we're going to adjust a big strategy here, it's like, hey, I need a sales page that AGM can build that sells that consultation and that gets people scheduled on his calendar, all right, for that $40 thing. And then we can blast promotions. We can do messenger sponsored messages. We can do email marketing for that, and just, hey, got some spots cleared up, and you can actually get your spot right here before it's too late, and they get filled out. Man, Daniel, that is inevitably going to lead towards a booked calendar for. Right now, we are missing out on that opportunity right there, and we're just relying on the webinar flow, webinar flow, webinar flow, webinar flow. And the webinar flow is an entry point. It's not the end game. It's an entry point. Once you have that phone number and that email, we got to do campaigns to bring them into the consultations. We got to do campaigns to bring them on email, on text messaging, on Messenger, and we got to just get those calendars booked. Because if he's closing 3 out of 12, Jesus, dude, that's fire. That's amazing. All right, all we got to do is get enough people booked on his calendar. So our responsibility is to get the calendar booked. That's what we should focus on right now. That should be the ROI for us. Why? Yes, webinar attendees. But if we get the calendar booked and he's selling 3 out of 12, dude, we're on fire, man. We can scale that to the end of the world. All right?
I agree.
And keep an eye out on the email marketing. What's going on? What's happening on that side? We can't just keep on dropping people after they opt in for the webinar, whether they attend or not. That needs to continue. The nurture must go on. The value needs to continue beyond that point. Some people are going to pay 2 years after they first find out about you, 3 years after. It's not the time to abandon them just because they didn't show up on a webinar, all right? So you keep on working on the webinar funnel, keep on increasing the value, getting people registered. Do not change that because that's working, but let's incorporate all these other marketing elements that are essential for all right, huge. I would actually add to the strategy, Daniel, if we can create like a quiz, I would definitely do that because that could be a great lead generation that would end up being like a great lead magnet that could end up with an offer to register to the webinar for free. If you're enjoying this content, please go ahead and subscribe. Help me comment below and let me know if you have any questions about marketing. And I'm on a mission to help as many of you as possible conquer the marketing world. So help me out. Subscribe, hit that button, hit that bell, get notified. We're going heavy with content in this 2021 year and beyond. Go ahead and subscribe right now.